the first in my family to go to college. Joining the military offered me the opportunity to serve and the chance to pay for school. I'm now about to finish my degree at a university I never even thought I would get into.
After going to college for a year, I decided I needed better grounding. Following a tour of honorable service, I went back to college and graduated with a 3.93 GPA in engineering.
Going to school while being in the reserves was tough, but I was a better soldier because of my education and a better student thanks to my experience in the military.
We literally could share hundreds of stories that sound exactly like this, representing the unique backgrounds of student veterans. Yet, whatever led you here to LA, you have all done one thing in common. At one point in all of your lives, you have raised your right hand and worn the cloth of our nation, whether in war or in peace. You also made a personal decision that education was valuable in your pursuits for your life. Also joining us here are families, university leaders, administrators, student leaders, chapter advisors, school certifying officials, our allies, and so many others who are integral to building an inclusive campus culture. Student Veterans of America, welcome to NatCon 2020. So my name is Jared Lyon, and I have the highest honor of my life to serve as your National President and CEO at your national headquarters in Washington, D.C. To every student veteran that is in this audience and here with us this weekend, my most humble thanks to you. As leaders on campus and in your communities, each and every one of you are the best of a generation. I also want to thank the colleges and universities for funding so many student veterans to be here. More than 50% of you actually secured financial support from your school, and we hope to see that number grow even more in the future. Finally, I'd like to take a minute to thank each and every one of our partners. You know, it's something that not many people do the math on, but each of you paid a registration fee to be here that would have been a lot higher if not for our partners and sponsors who subsidize this event and make it possible each and every year. You're going to meet many of them on the campus, and they'll all probably thank you for your service. But do me a favor right now, and let's thank all of our donors and partners who helped make NatCon possible. It was the vision of our founders 12 years ago in 2008 that Student Veterans of America would never charge national dues to be a member of our organization. See, our founders believed that each and every one of us already paid our dues through our service to country. And our donors and partners make it possible that we can keep that dream alive by being the only national student organization that doesn't charge dues. Most of all, a special thank you to Raytheon for being our presenter sponsor of our national conference and a longtime ally of SVA and truly a global leader. And finally, from a thank you perspective, I want to take a moment to have a huge thank you to our National Board of Directors, represented by Sherry and Fontaine, and to your SVA National Headquarters staff, who work on your behalf each and every day in Washington, D.C., and certainly put a lot of hours in making NatCon possible. They are your team, and they're conducting research, advocating for policy, and delivering training on your behalf. Please take some time to get to know them over this weekend and share ways in which we can better serve you. Could we give our National Headquarters staff and Board of Directors a round of applause to show our appreciation? President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his administration transformed America into the modern nation that we know today. His administration launched massive programs in agencies such as Social Security, the SEC, and more. Then, in 1944, he signed a law that created a little-known program at the time that was called the Servicemen's Readjustment Act. We better know it as the GI Bill of Rights. But this GI Bill idea almost never made it out of Congress. There were some who said that this new program would be the ruin of returning GIs. It was the president of Harvard who famously penned, "We may find the least capable among the war generation instead of the most capable, flooding the facilities for advanced education in these United States." And the president of the University of Chicago, a World War I veteran himself, argued, if we give returning GIs from fighting in Europe and the Pacific the opportunity for free education, then I fear our colleges and universities will find themselves converted into educational hobo jungles. Yeah. But student veterans proved their value back then in 1944, and they're doing so today on campuses throughout the United States and across the world. Throughout my speech today, I'm going to be sharing several stories that highlight the remarkable work of student veterans, of our chapters, and our chapter advisors. While each of these stories are powerful, I want you to know that they're not unique. Like me, many of you have probably heard organizations seeking to support veterans say, "I have this great program, but I just can't seem to find vets." And they send you lots of emails, they keep showing up on campus looking for vets. They say it as if we're some sort of elusive unicorns, as if we all look the same, that we all care about the same thing, and that we hold homogeneous views that are tucked away just waiting to be found. At SVA, we try to take a different approach, one informed by the needs of veterans. One such opportunity we're developing is aptly called How to College. This is going to be a new program on the life hacks of being a more effective student, and we'll introduce newly enrolled students at your campus to the concept of an SVA chapter and a student veteran organization on your campus. When a new student veteran arrives on campus, what's often one of the first things we hear them say? "You know, this veteran thing isn't for me." I know I said that when I showed up to school, and many of you probably felt the same way before you got active on campus, and what decision led you here. But you see, we often treat school like a job. You've heard this. Going to school is my full-time job. We put our blinders on, if you will. We go to class, we do the reading, we take our tests, and we head home as quickly as possible once class ends. The only problem with that approach is that you miss out on growing your personal and professional network. Addressing this challenge, Annette Nance from the University of Pittsburgh developed opportunities for students to become engaged in professional, social, and volunteer programs. You can give it up for Annette. Look at that Marine. The community she has back on campus has engagement that has taken off under her leadership and gives student veterans a chance to broaden their networks with fellow student veterans on campus and traditional students alike. Another approach is to show value early on, building relationships with employers and then sharing those relationships with your student veteran friends back on campus. This is exactly what the City University of New York, Medgar Evers College did. There's a lot of them here. They did this by coordinating with on-campus resources to provide regular career development opportunities. And when a strong chapter has a supportive chapter advisor like Adam McManamy at Los Angeles Harbor College, who made student veteran engagement a more manageable challenge. Adam supported a complete transformation of the LAHC Veterans Center and developed new help to grow veteran enrollment on campus by nearly 10 times since 2015. Taking a full course load, maintaining involvement on campus, and working a full or part-time job can be a lot. Add to that over 50% of us as student veterans have children when we go back to school, and nearly 20% of us are single parents. It's easy to understand where an inclusive community can make a big difference. This is the true strength of an SVA chapter. At Old Dominion University, Monarchs in the back, well done. At ODU, they're focused on creating an inclusive community for all student veterans, families, and allies alike. This fall, they actually hosted a Veterans Ball, which showcased the breadth of their on-campus programs, both within their chapter and alongside their on-campus organizations. Through our regional summits, We've refined training to help chapter leaders learn all about the leading practices that we've developed over the past decade. In 2020, chapter leaders will gather for 10 regional summits. We're encouraging as many chapter leaders to attend as possible. We literally have spots for over 3,000. But please remember to register early, as spots do fill up fast. A good friend of mine, Alex Pachano from Lakeland Community College, attended one of the regional summits this fall. Over the next few months, he incorporated this training into his chapter strategy for success, and now they're thriving, even at a community college. At Colorado State University, nothing, Rams? That was like an Air Force woo-woo. That was good. It was polite. Was that too much for the Air Force? I'm sorry. Sorry. We all would have joined the Air Force if we could do it over, let's be honest. So our friends at Colorado State University, they noticed that student veterans were told the only way that they'd be able to build a new on-campus veterans center would be to actually increase the student activity fee, not just for student veterans, but for every student at the university. Working with other student leaders, their student body president, and these student veterans successfully passed the measure in the Student Senate, and we're looking forward to when they cut the ribbon very, very soon. The University of California, Los Angeles, not far from here, Dr. Ives exudes the core values of resources, support, and advocacy as the go-to support staff, regardless of the challenge. Working hand in hand with student veterans at UCLA, she is a great example of the potential contributors of chapter advisors. We pride ourselves at SVA on being an inclusive organization where all veterans and allies are welcomed. It's actually really tough to misunderstand somebody that you know. It's even tougher to hate somebody that you know. This is part of the reason why respecting identity is so important. Within the first 5 years of separating from the military, does anyone in the room know what over 80% of veterans do not consider themselves? Veterans. Is that crazy? We keep saying the Veterans Center, though, and we're veteran-friendly. Veterans. But if you're not identifying as a veteran right away, you might be appealing to the wrong audience. Identity is a unique facet of being human and rarely static. We strive to build chapters that allow everyone to bring their whole selves to the table. In higher education, lots of schools will advertise themselves as being veteran-friendly. But the term military and veteran-friendly is actually kind of meaningless in academia if you can't define it or you can't measure it. Now, if you're satisfied with the outcome of your campus by being friendly, I encourage you to keep doing it. But listen, if you're not, maybe veteran and military friendly is not something that's definable and measurable. If that's the case, I encourage you, if you're dissatisfied on your campus with the approach of being friendly, try to seek ways to drive towards a strategy to be more veteran inclusive of all aspects of campus life. This is the first time in American history where only 1 in 3 college students state that they know a military veteran firsthand. This is a time in our country where, make no mistake about it, anyone reading the headlines this morning or catching the news, make no mistake about it, this is a nation still at war. In this generation, the post-9/11 generation, much like me, many of us millennials, is the generation that has been fighting the longest period of sustained combat in our nation's history. Less than 1% of our adult-age population serves in uniform at any given time. And when we come back to campus, sometimes civilians don't understand us. But I would charge each and every one of you in the room that you have an opportunity to meet those civilians, and I damn near say a responsibility to make sure that they know who veterans are, that they know who you are, that they know what you're doing on campus, and they know what you're leading in these United States. No matter what we do, we can all be more successful together. Bonita Rodriguez, the former chapter president at Pace University, built a diverse and inclusive chapter at Pace University. That chapter continues to deliver meaningful experiences to student veterans today. Embodying the drive and purpose so many student veterans demonstrate, she is proof that the definition of purpose is to use your strengths to unite others. Each fall, top chapter leaders from throughout the United States travel to Washington, D.C. to participate in the SVA Leadership Institute. At this moment, could I ask any cohort of SVA Leadership Institute graduates to please stand and be recognized? If you graduated from the SVA Leadership Institute, don't be shy. I see you all. When they come to our regional summits, all of you, our summits will focus always on the mechanics of running a strong chapter, but the Leadership Institute focuses on honing individual leadership skills through a facilitated curriculum and exposure to top leaders from throughout the United States. During this past year's Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C., the Speaker of the House met with SVA chapter leaders on the anniversary of September 11th to share what it was like serving in Congress on that tragic day. I shared alongside of her the notion that I had enlisted in the world's finest Navy on August 5th, 2001. I had joined a peacetime military. But on that day, the world changed. Certainly for me, but definitely for each and every one of us that have served after September 11th, 2001. Speaker Pelosi poignantly shared that leaders unify, not divide. SVA takes this unified approach in all of our advocacy work. On March 3rd of this year, SVA will testify before a joint hearing in front of the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate Veteran Affairs Committees. We invite all of you to join us in the hearing room in person in Washington, D.C., or to stream it live. We welcome your feedback on what Congress needs to know as the top policy priorities for student veterans. Reach out to us about the hearing. Our team is ready to provide a more detail about the hearing and to learn how you can ask your school about funding a trip to D.C. for this occasion. This year, 2020, marks the 12th anniversary of Student Veterans of America. In the coming months, we'll be launching a brand new website featuring our new online career center, putting all the relationships we've developed over the past decade right in your pocket. More importantly, this new website will function as your go-to for chapter resources, including a chapter handbook, a totally rebuilt chapter directory, and a live map connecting you to chapters at the local, regional, and national levels. Our goal is to put the power of this national network at your fingertips. Back in 2010, I was a chapter leader at a small state school in Florida called Florida State University. Go Noles. We called our group then, and still do today, the Collegiate Veterans Association at Florida State University, a Student Veterans of America chapter. And many of us in this room have a naming convention of our local chapters that differ slightly from SVA. And that's okay because those campuses developed those names over time. Some of those chapter names go all the way back to the student veterans from World War II. But to truly build on the strength of this national network, we'll be encouraging our chapters across the country to voluntarily adopt a new naming convention that demonstrates a unified national footprint. For example, at my alma mater of Florida State University, or where I went to graduate school at Syracuse University. It's the orange, right in the front, looking good orange, there it is. But we would change our name at Florida State from CVA at Florida State to Student Veterans of America at Florida State University, or at my alma mater at Syracuse, the Student Veterans Organization at Syracuse University, to Student Veterans of America at Syracuse University. This idea is of one SVA. Your ability to have a long-term impact is greatly bolstered by this national platform. You now have access to consistent branding through an online toolkit. We encourage all chapters to use these logos and branding in all new materials, and over time, this will help demonstrate the unity of our national network. Our team in DC works for you, and we always welcome you to visit your national headquarters anytime you're in Washington, D.C. Your national headquarters is located just a few short blocks from the White House, and just like any good veteran center on campus, we offer free printing and bad coffee. As a national network of over 1,500 chapters, the support of your national headquarters, representing more than 1 million student veterans in higher education, we truly are one SVA. The first Student Veterans of America National Conference was hosted in the snowy suburbs of Chicago, Illinois in 2008. If you looked at it, there was under 90 people there, a little bit different than today. But since 2008, over 15,000 student veterans have attended an SVA NatCon. And here in Los Angeles, California, for our 12th annual NatCon, we're hosting our largest one yet. To some, NatCon may seem like the perfect way to end an impactful year on campus. We start our year acclimating new student veterans to our campuses. Then we attend regional summits as chapter leaders to develop strategies for running a more effective chapter. Next, it's on to the Leadership Institute to hone individual leadership skills, and finally, NatCon. This continuum represents the experience of over several years while we're in college. NatCon is a great way to celebrate a productive year and to check in before the spring semester. But really, it's just the beginning. I wanted to take a brief moment as I had some personal friends here. So anyone that I'm friends with on Facebook might know that at home, my beautiful wife, Shayla Lee Lyon, is pregnant with our first baby. We're welcoming a little baby boy at the end of the month and can't wait to introduce him to each and every one of you. But instead of my wife being here, I have three special friends. We all met in a program called the Presidential Leadership Scholars, an initiative of President Clinton, President George W. Bush, President George H.W. Bush, and President Lyndon Johnson, to unify leaders of change who are in the middle of their careers and poised for great success. I'd like to give just a quick shout out to Mary Redding Smith, Antoinette Balta, and Dr. Sunny Jha, if you'd stand to be recognized. Dr. Jha is a practicing physician and teaches at the University of Southern California, and I've actually had the chance to visit him at work. Dr. Jha and a fellow doctor of ours, Q, have just returned from their second time in Iraq together, training surgeons on the front lines anywhere they might be. Dr. Jha is an anesthesiologist, and I just thank you for what you do. All three of you are leaders in your own rights, and dear friends, thanks for being here. Over the next few days, I want you to make a promise to open yourself up to others. This is your opportunity to build your personal networks and to bring back so many of the great resources at NatCon to your chapter and your campus. Quick show of hands, who's been to a NatCon before? If I say the following, does it make sense to you? You will leave here with the NatCon high, right? For those of the uninitiated, that this is your first NatCon, welcome. But look for those ways to stay connected with each other, because this is how you will bring that fighting spirit back to campus. This is how you will unite the veterans, supporters, and allies back on your campus towards a common good of student veteran success. But there's many folks that can't join us here today, that can't fit in this ballroom. I think we're packed in about as tight as we can get. And so be engaged while you're here on social media and help us share the story of student veterans beyond Los Angeles. Remember those two university presidents at Harvard and the University of Chicago? They made some rather derogatory remarks. Well, there was a lot of others who said that veterans weren't a fit for the classroom back in 1944. And even today, we sometimes still hear that. Well, in 1948, just 4 short years after their original opposition, there was widespread retraction, with Harvard's president later saying, "For seriousness, perceptiveness, steadfastness, and all other undergraduate virtues, the veterans of the World War II era were the best in Harvard's history." You've heard me use the term best of a generation. In our nation's history, it has been educated veterans who have been the key to solving whatever problems that our nation may face. And this is the legacy each and every one of you carry. From the American Revolution to present day, when we take off the cloth of our nation, transform ourselves through the power of higher education, we can do anything we set our minds to. Each of you are carrying that proud legacy of service, education, and continued service out of uniform. My friends, I assure you that the world is watching each and every one of you, and future generations are counting on you. The choice is up to each of you as to what to do next. It is my humble honor to be among you. I hope to have the chance to meet as many of you as possible. If you have not yet received an SVA Challenge coin, I've got a lot of them. I'm not a leprechaun, but it's close. Inscribed on the back of the SVA National Headquarters Challenge coin is a simple notion that any nation that makes a great distinction between our scholars and our warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting done by fools. Each and every one of you embody that spirit. You are taking care of others as leaders on your campus, and you will continue to serve because your country needs you. We need you to unite. I'm humbled to be among you because each of you are our nation's student veterans. You are the best of a generation. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and attention. And welcome again to your national conference. You guys are too much. You? All right, I've got a couple of housekeeping items, and then the next thing in front of us is a happy hour reception where we will all drink responsibly if you choose. But I hope that each and every one of you are RSVP'd and will be joining us for a special training session tomorrow morning with a great organization called Merging Vets and Players. It's 7 a.m. in Gold 2. Now, we've got some special guests showing up for this one. Kirstie Ennis, who's the ESPN National Pat Tillman Award winner, and a Marine, which is pretty cool. And a good buddy of ours, Rudy Reyes, also a Marine who played himself in Generation Kill. Yud. We also have the opportunity for each and every one of you joining us to get a running start. Get a running start through your educations and on to your futures. So you'll have 24 hours to participate in a running start. I really hope that each and every one of you check it out. It's located on the gold level, which is on the ground level behind the escalators. You'll sign up for a time to run and raise money alongside Medal of Honor recipient Kyle White. Now, really quickly, I want to take a special opportunity to do something that he's going to hate me for. But I'd like to just really briefly ask my dear friend, Sergeant Retired, Medal of Honor recipient Kyle White to stand for our recognition. Kyle. Join Kyle tomorrow morning and get a running start. Is that Wade's band that I just saw? Brother, that's like my favorite Marine in the world. Wade and I were in boot camp on September 11th at the same time. Wade Spann, founder of our chapter president, GW, stand up, brother. Show the world that beautiful hair. That's Wade Spann, baby. Thanks for being here. So breakfast is going to be served tomorrow morning, right at 8 a.m., followed by our breakout sessions, which will kick off at 9:30 through 11:45. And to close out tonight, we all understand the value of partnerships. I'd like to take a special minute to just thank a dear friend of mine who has some new news. Jim, would you join me on the stage really quickly? So this is my friend, Jim Beamister, who's, a West Point graduate and a former infantryman, so we'll give it up for the infantry. But Jim is somebody, it was a polite Air Force clap for the infantry. Well done. But Jim is a good friend, and Jim recently had an amazing promotion at work. So Jim's been supporting student veterans through Prudential and sponsoring the Leadership Institute since its founding. Actually, one of the first donors ever to SVA was from Prudential. And I just wanted to have a moment to do two things. First, if you could all give some appreciation to a man who was just promoted to the Vice President of Veteran and Military Affairs at Prudential. Congratulations. Now, I want to publicly give Jim an acknowledgement because he has just a couple of few words, and then he has this special job. He paid for the next event next door. So the free drink ticket is from Jim. So just so you know. Responsibly, all right? But, Jim, I wanted you to be our first partner in the country to receive one of SVA's newest challenge coins. Thank you for everything that you do, and the mic is yours, brother.
I wasn't quite expecting that, but I am Jim Beamisturfer. I'm the Vice President of Veterans Initiatives at Prudential. And I'm also an Army veteran, as you just heard. And yes, we do know how to drink responsibly. But part of that drinking responsibly tonight, and for the rest of this conference, is I'm going to encourage for the student veterans here to really make good use of all of these resources available to you, all of these sessions available to you. This is an invaluable amount of information that's going to help you. You need, it's called Learn Today, Lead Tomorrow. So learn today. Take it back to your chapters and be a leader and share this information. Now, you're going to get out of this whole conference what you put into it. So if you just drink it away, that's what you're going to get. So drink responsibly and learn, okay? Now, part of that is network. So at the SVA campus and throughout this whole conference, network. Talk to people, learn about their organization and what they can do to be a partner of yours and how you can maybe help them. What you can learn about an employer and the careers that they offer, whether it's right for you or some of your colleagues back on campus. Take that information back. Now, we just heard Jared say I was an infantry officer, and so I'm going to use a little infantry analogy. It's about careers. So if you think about Prudential and you think, well, I don't want to be an insurance agent or I don't want to sell anything, so why would I come talk to Prudential? Okay, Prudential's a lot like an infantry division. An infantry division has, give or take, 3,000 infantry soldiers. All right? But we need a little bit of support, right, to get some things done. So we have about 17,000 support soldiers in an infantry division. And we all know those different roles, and some of us probably held them. Well, at Prudential, we have about 20,000 domestic employees. And about 3,000 sell something. And the other 17,000 are support soldiers. Project management, IT, actuarial, underwriting, finance, attorneys, every professional career you can think of. Yes, we even have pilots work at Prudential. So, when you're networking with these employers, talk to every single employer. Find out about their company. Find out about what they do. Find out about the kind of talent that they're looking for. I can tell you, employers want to hire veterans, and we've been hearing some of the reasons. Ron did a great job talking about some of the talents and the reasons employers want to hire veterans, and we all have heard that already. But employers, hiring managers want to hire the best person to add to their team. You've got to communicate that to that employer. You've got to tell them, explain to them how your experience is, what you did in the military is going to allow you to adapt, improvise, adapt, and overcome, right? You can learn anything. You did that in the military. You maybe have never been an IT project manager before, but you can learn it. That was my first job at Prudential. I had no idea. I got asked in the interview, have you any project management experience? And I said no. Luckily for me, the interviewer asked another question. I was an infantry captain when I got out of the Army. I had managed a lot of projects, we just didn't call them projects. And I quickly learned how to talk about everything I did and how to explain it in a more civilian way. And next thing I know, I had employers dying over trying to hire me. So that's what we all have to do, is take those skills and experiences and figure out how to translate it into a way to talk about what we can learn and the value we can add to an organization. Now, for the employers in the room, most of us are here because we really want to hire a veteran talent. But I'm going to encourage all of us employers to think a little bit differently. Don't just think about, can this person join my organization tomorrow and contribute right away doing whatever this very technical, detailed job is that we have at our firm. But rather think about the potential that they add to your organization and the long-term benefit the leader that you're gaining in your organization. The long-term value that will be added by having this person as part of your team. Because at the end of the day, as a hiring manager, what we want to do with every hire that we make is increase the talent average of our company. You've got student veterans. Any veteran trying to get a job, you have to demonstrate that value. You have to help that hiring manager see how you're going to help them achieve their goals. And not just be looking for, hey, hire me on a vet. So, we have a reception, we have an SVA campus, we have a lot of employers here who want to talk to all of you. So, make the best use of that time, network, network, and network. Thanks and have a great conference.